Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hollywood Matt Connelly tonight live. This is Hollywood Matt Connelly with the double biceps. It is in the contract a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. We're just making sure that the boxes have been ticked. The lawyers are happy, and they have definitely seen two biceps there. There's one there, and there's another one over there. We have the man of the moment here with us from a World Series of Arm Wrestling, the CEO, the man that everyone is on everyone's lips at the moment. It is none other than Gregg. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt, how are you? I think what I'm going to do the next time we get on the camera is I'm going to get a photograph of really good biceps and put them up here so that way it kind of counterbalances the difference here. It's certainly a one-way street with you leading the way.
Oh, I've been shown up multiple times. So guys like Lachlan Adair or whatever, like I'll hit that, and then they do it in the background, like on the bottom of the screen, and it's like 3 times bigger than my arm, and I'm like, yeah, all right.
And I think we talked about this maybe after King of the Table. That guy is built like a brick house. I mean, not just from the body up. I mean, from the hips down. He's got linebacker legs, and he might be a 230, 240 guy, but if any normal arm wrestler, he would probably be a 176er with no legs, right? He's a tank. He's a tank man. You don't want to run the ball through the middle of the field with that guy tackling you.
The powerlifting background with Lachlan Adair, yeah, absolutely. He's doing tremendous things, and we hope to see him continue his success in 2025, as we hope to see with the whole arm wrestling scene. And we've got a bit of an issue or a controversy that's been brewing in the last couple of days. And I think we chatted before we went on air that you wanted to sort of lay out a bit of a timeline and make it a little clearer for people that are not exactly sure as to why you come to the decision that you've come to.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on, Matt. It's, we've gotten, I guess, 24 hours now into the future on an announcement that had to be made on our end. And I think it's important, it is in the value that we talk about what led up to that and what really didn't lead up to it. Because I know there's some real narratives out there that I'm being told that people think that that we wanted to get back at a promotion or something to that effect. And I think with some delicacy of having the fact that we do have NDAs involved with several athletes. I kind of start from the beginning. And I think most people know that last year we created the thought of going and doing the house. We actually we flew Jamie Sheldon, who's would have flown to Dallas anyway as our athletes rep, and Jody Williams and his family came out. And we came and we filmed the introduction to the show. In that, in any show, in any production, we all agreed that the schedule would be somewhat floating. We'd get through the season, we'd see where the holidays landed for each individual, and then we would set some dates. And originally, we were thinking about the December timeline, which was it was probably the most opportune. Because there's a lull in the sport, but we had to take into consideration the fact that Jamie and his children and his family and Jody and his family and all of those things around the holiday time were very important. Those things are important. It's important that when we plan things out, it works for everybody. Now, as we move forward, we set the dates, and we actually set for the first 2 weeks of April. In those conversations that's happened in December, and we started to talk to those athletes, the agreement was made that, a month before, through the final taping, we would be what we'll call celibate or of some value, right? Doesn't mean that you can't train. It doesn't mean that you can't do the things that you do in normal life. We don't want you to go out and compete on a contest level, because if you are, we're assuming there's a value that you might get hurt. And we're going to put in a large amount of money into the production end, which, is there. And everybody agreed to it, right? So when we agreed to it, the value of moving forward is that we start to contact athletes, Some of those athletes looked a little bit too good, and some of those athletes didn't look as good. So we were looking at athletes that really matched up well, because the last thing you want to do on a reality show is just have one side get smashed and the other side just crash, right? So we went through a balancing act, and we started to talk to guys about their schedules and see who works what or whatnot. And ultimately, we came up with the dates, and we came up with an agreement. Now, as we got out of that agreement and we started going into the January month, unfortunately, one of our captains had some personal issues that they wanted to address. So we took them off of the radar. We made some comments, or not comments, but we made some calls. We talked to Jody. We came up with some options that made sense to him. And we talked to the Dave Hobbs, was going to be the other captain and still in the mix. And we came up to a conclusion. And in those calls, again, we stayed with the thought process that we're going to stay healthy before the show, after the show, and we're going to make sure that ultimately we can get this filmed, right? Go out on the road. I'm shooting with a couple of reality series that we're doing, and I come back from the road, and I happen to get on social media, which is really something I don't ever do, right? And even to post the video, people are saying, "Did you read the comments?" I don't read the comments. To me, it's comments are made to be comments. We find out that Jody has taken an opportunity to pull with arm gods, and in itself, that value had no bother to me, other than it was approximately 10 days before we start shooting. We then have a conversation. He says, "I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be safe. I won't get hurt." And I explained to him, I said, "Jody, it's not a matter of wanting you to be hurt or not. It's a matter of that if you do, we've got a considerable amount of money on the line that ultimately, if you get hurt, we're going to have a problem. So you have to make a decision one way or the other, right? You can work with us, you can work with them, but you can't work with them and have an opportunity for us to come, that following Monday, and now I don't have a captain."
Right.
We agreed, wished each other well. I think actually in the timeline, my daughter and I were wearing LLD sweatshirts after that, which was, there was no animosity to Jody at all. And the reality of it is that, we wished each other well. And I think Jody at that point was still going to compete with us in WSA. Fast forward, again, we're moving now to look at some other opportunities to compete against Dave. He gave us some, names that he thought were good. I had a name, which, interesting enough, Paul Cruz is a good friend. And I've talked to him. I actually talked to him prior to even making an announcement. And I called up Paul and I said, "Hey, Paul," I said, "would you be interested? You've got a right look. You've got the look that looks like an angry Italian, a New Yorker. This is you probably translate well on TV." And Paul said to me, he goes, "I can, but I can't obligate myself to not pulling for 30 days because I'm in the arm gods." I said, "Okay." I said, "That's fine." I said, "Paul, I'm cool with that. I didn't know that you were pulling. Again, I'm not watching a lot of social media." I said, he asked me, "Can I go to season 2? I said, "Absolutely." I said, "It doesn't affect you. This is nothing to do with their promotion. It's just, I need to make sure that whoever comes to my show, that from March 1 through April 3 is not in an event that they could get hurt. Now I'm fishing for more."
Right.
And ultimately it was that. I mean, I go back on the road. We're shooting 2 big shows in Nashville and Dallas. Come back around, and I'm getting some texts on the road from some individuals, and they're like, "What, are you going to go online? You're going to address this?" I go, "Well, it's a Friday night. What's going on?" I mean, literally, my phone is blowing up, and they say, "Oh, they're trashing you. They're trashing you. They're trashing." I go, "Who's trashing me?" And they say, "Oh, Jody Williams and Ryan Grondin are trashing you on his podcast." And I said, "What? It's Friday night, right? I mean, I'm shooting, a reality show series. I don't have time to listen to a Friday night podcast. And if they say it, then I guess I'm living rent free in their minds, right? I mean, at that point, again, it has no value to me. I don't care. You can't stop people in reality to do what they want, right? whether or not they do the right thing or the wrong thing, they're going to do whatever they want. Didn't really think much of it, right? I come back home, and then this all kind of precipitates on a Monday morning at a very early hour. I get a text from Jody, and he says, I had nothing to do with it. And that was his text. He goes, I had nothing to do with it. And I'm like, do with what, right? I mean, it's Monday morning, right? I don't know what you're talking about, but obviously something happened in which he then felt responsible, or maybe he felt sad for, that there's something that's bad that's going on, right? I said, all right. So I open up my phone, and there it is, right? It's DM'd to me from them, right? So, or tagged, or however it is. So the moment is that it wasn't even hidden in any value. It was just something that they're saying, okay, well, screw you, right? Here it is. Okay, well, there's your answer to me, right? Okay, if what you think is that you want to create a false narrative, and you want to create a meme or a joke, or however they call it, a joke. Gregg can't take a joke. If you're going to send it to me, if you're going to throw it in my face, and you're playing a stupid game, you're going to win a stupid prize, right? And ultimately, I'm not going to stand there and just let you, thumb up at me. And I thought about it, and I did. I sat around and I said, okay, well, what is really the value of what needs to be done? And the answer really is the intent was what really created the controversy for me. The fact that they wanted to make sure that I saw that, and they sent it to me and tagged me in it, to me says, okay, well, they're asking me to respond. Fair enough. I don't know anything about the Armed Gods guys. You put the Armed Gods guys in front of me, with other 5 other guys, I wouldn't be able to tell you who they are. Even to this date, I don't know who they are. I don't think we follow them. I don't think they follow us. I know who Ryan is, and I do know who Jody is. And the answer is, we then decided, and I decided. I started to call some people, and I said, listen, I'm not going to let this go, right? I'm not going to let somebody take a pop shot at me, put me in a negative way, a defamatory way, a value on which insults me on a medium that my children watch, my family watch, colleagues on a professional end watch, and not respond. And the answer was I reached out then on a quiet end to those around me to let them know that this is coming, and I wanted to see how this affected them. I actually reached out to some people that we made a suggestion of we would help them financially if they had paid into doing this because they wanted to stand by us. And I gave people a choice. And I told them, I said, listen, we're going to make a decision, and we're going to give you the choice to decide which way you want to do. But we're going to make a stand, and we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior on any level. This is not a guy that doesn't have any skin in any game in a promotion, that sits in the middle of nowhere on a phone and is making memes and trashing me. This is somebody who's a promoter, right? This is somebody who is trying to be a peer in an industry that we're trying to grow. That feels as if coming at me directly, he wants to have an answer, and we were prepared to give answers, right? I mean, that's ultimately, I've been in business a long time, and I've been through a lot of good businesses and very few bad businesses. And honestly, we've been lucky on that, knock on wood. But I likened this back to about 2011, Matt, when I owned Express Flight Series. I actually started to have a similar situation going on back then, in which it escalated because we didn't do anything. We ignored it, right? And unfortunately, what that led to was an anonymous letter in the mail that, to understand that, put this in context, my daughter at the time was 10, that stated that my daughter would get, sexually assaulted, and my son would be killed. And it came back that this individual was the same one who started the memes and the nonsense, right? And I look back and I said, well, we're maybe it's not the same, right? But we're not going to sit back idly and take this all in and let somebody grow a badge of courage, if you will, to continue to work against us. We had no ill will to the event. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of people that have supported WSA that were going. We don't have ill will to promoters. Many people don't realize that, when King of the Table needed a location for December, we came forward to help them, right? We were the ones who were able to enable them to continue to do their promotion, and I had a great promotion, and it was a success. We have a lot of people behind the scenes who call us up to help them and to grow, some of the things that they're doing. But the honest answer is that if we're going to lead the pack in any value, in terms of what we see, we have to be able to make decisions and decisions that sometimes are unpopular, with the understanding that everybody has a value or a merit to be addressed with. And if you have a problem with me, you certainly had the opportunity to call me. We've had a conversation or two behind the scenes. Last year, we had a bit of a hiccup. We had a mutual agreement that we would work together in the Atlantic City, in that we put their logo on our banner. And unfortunately, there was some value of miscommunication, they like to say. And they got more of the value than we did. They threw an event on top of ours. And you know what? I never came out to public to say anything. It's a private matter. It's a professional matter. But you know what? At some point, if you want to keep doing this, you're going to get something that you are asking for. Now, in a big picture, Matt, a lot of people have reached out to me. I mean, hundreds, behind the scenes have reached out to me, and they've stood behind me, and they think that, to have the courage to be able to stand up to nonsense is something that has a value. But I think in part of my reaction, Matt, is that I think that there is some collateral damage that we really need to address, and the line in the sand is drawn. I'm not sweeping the line back. What's determined is determined, but I think the in the value of what the result has to meet the expectation of what the incident is, and I think that there's a lot of pullers in this mix that are affected, that are good people, that are people that were unaware and certainly are kind of blindsided by it. And now that they've actually heard what's going on, I think you've seen a lot of people pull down their posts and retract. And I think at the end of the day, the line in the sand has to stay. It's an event specific. You can continue to work with those guys after this event. This is an event that they feel as if it's a model case for them to stand by. If you pull with them, we're going to keep you out of the 2025 season. And then after that, you can come back into the mix here. But there has to be some sort of a value of deterrent, Matt. And here's the thing is that I don't want to say this in a pretentious way, but it is my money, right? Mm-hmm. It is my money that I put out every year, and I have the right to be able to choose how I want to distribute that money in a sport that I enjoy, and as a business, something that we can use as a tool to grow. I think we've grown. I think that the things that we have found in what we've done in the last 3 years are maybe a much greater pace than maybe a lot would anticipate. The fact that we're going to have betting this year, the fact that we're multiplying streams, the fact that we are we're opening up more prize money. We have that 4-letter TV station that we're about to announce here soon. So all of these things are positive things. But at the end of the day, Matt, I mean, when it came right down to it, it's my checkbook, right? Mm-hmm. It's my checkbook, and it's something that I have to handle, and I have to be able to justify, right? If I'm going to put $150,000, $200,000 into a season and develop something, and that's what it costs. I'm not hiding that. I mean, you start to add up prize monies and travel times and airfares and everything else. It comes to this number, right? I mean, it's just what the number is. Mm-hmm. And it's for me to be able to spend. It's a decision that a business has to make, that has to create a broad line, if you will, of integrity that we just don't want to go below. And listen, I can't tell you how it bothers me in some values that, there is that collateral damage, but what else am I going to do? I mean, it's the individual that's made this, an issue, right? And only value that he has is this promotion and this event that he's making this big stink over. Which again, what people don't realize is I've never told anybody that they can't compete in their event. Matter of fact, if you bring Jody Williams on at some later date, he'll tell you within our text and our conversations that I wish them well. I just have to mitigate my losses, right? And if I'm going to do that, it has to be in a way that we understand that the value of what we're doing has to supersede everything else, and that's really the bottom line. And we mitigated those unfortunate circumstances. Now going forward, where does this leave us in some of this controversy with the House? So we're retooling, our schedule, and certainly had more communication, I think, been done. And I think, for me to find out these situations, not directly from individuals, could have helped me behind the scenes create a better flow, of transition between what we needed, what we didn't need, and how to handle it. But ultimately, Jody had made his commitment to armed gods, and that was fine. I mean, we just can't have both, right? And it's just, if you want to go out on a Friday night and you want to be at X, but you have an opportunity to be at Y and you choose to be at Y, then it can't be at both, right? And that's what it ended up being. The real fact, though, is that there's this individual that feels as if his merit and value in the world of arm wrestling is to be a clown, right? I mean, ultimately, his actions are those of something that is really I don't know, somebody that shouldn't belong in a professional standing, in my opinion, right? These are my opinions. And if those opinions are really the essence of how we do business, then blame me. I'm fine with it. That's, you asked me to bring on Don Underwood. I don't think Don needs to get mired into this. Certainly he will be a proponent of us. But in the end, the ultimate value is that we made the decision, and we're going to stick by the decision with the one recension, right? The one recension is that season 2025 is off the table, and I think that's fair. It sends the message that we're not going to tolerate this action and these behaviors, but it does give the opportunity for those who decide to handle their commitments. And I don't, in any manner, I don't want someone to feel as if I don't believe their commitment or their moral fabric is being compromised because of they staying with their decision. I understand that. I don't, it's not an easy decision for me to be able to call that out. But I think the season long from here through WSA 2025 in November, back into the mix in 2026, and listen, our hope is that these actions don't happen again, right? Nobody wants to put a foot down. Nobody wants to be able to, do what they're doing and do it in a way that they have to look over their shoulder, have people ridicule them, and it's just not a value, right? And if you're going to be a bully, and maybe you've picked the wrong person to bully, right?
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that we've seen a big reaction from the community, and I feel the issue that a lot of people are having is that that they've seen this thing play out before with the WAF and IFA and bands and all the rest of it, and athletes that wanted to be able to compete against other people, and then they had to decide whether they're going to stick with WAF or stick with IFA, and it really separated a lot of the community of arm wrestling. They had to make that choice, and it feels like in this position that people now have to choose between, well, do I go, maybe they had already planned to go to Winter Blast, they'd already bought tickets or whatever, and then it's like maybe they're also a fan of WSA, and they were like, hey, I'm going to compete in that later on the year. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I've got to make that decision and I've got to choose, because there is a consequence if I make this action or this choice. So I think there was a lot of people that are sort of like, well, is this hurting the sport of arm wrestling? Is this limiting people's ability to be able to compete in organizations around the world? Or if they're looking at competing with you, it's like, okay, well, maybe that means that I can't compete with Arm Gods. So there is that difficulty that arises for the athletes, which I think that is where the majority of the animosity is coming from.
Listen, I agree. I would be remiss to say that I haven't seen the value of conversation on the net with IFA and WAF. Our stance has always been, it's been a non-denominational value. Doesn't matter who you pull for, you can come and pull for us, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the money is there for you to win, right? I mean, that's what it's there for. Listen, it doesn't matter what level you're on. The great thing about tournament arm wrestling is sometimes the luck of the draw can land you in a position where you're cashing money. That happened to me. I 2017 with Wall, I actually cashed, which I don't know how I did, but I caught a sixth or seventh in LA, and they're sending me $25, and I'm like, $25 for what? And they said, because you hit seventh. And I go, I did? I think I was 1 and 2, right? I mean, and I think I was only in the one because the guy who was there got hurt. And so I got passed. So it's funny for me, right? I mean, it's just, it ends up being kind of a luck of the draw type thing. And ultimately, people are going to like it. People are not going to. And people are going to come vocal. People aren't, and that's okay. It ends up being the fact that we're going to make decisions that's best for us. And we have an opportunity now to grow. And a lot of people will comment that we're going to implode or whatever. And the answer is that maybe we will. Maybe we will. And maybe the lesson learned is that, the arm wrestling community isn't ready for someone to make large investments to better the sport. Maybe that's the real answer. I don't know. But we're going to continue to push on with our direction. We're going to continue to push on with our business plan. We have a lot of really cool things planned for 2025. We have a lot of different opportunities for people with the Thursday Night Arm Fights. We're working with a entertainment group that is securing locations here. That'll be starting to develop here in late summer. We've got some great contacts in terms of what we're doing with channels and streaming platforms. And that's where the real testament is. Ultimately, I'm not a promoter, Matt, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm a producer. I look at this as, I'm not here to count entry fees and make sure that I've made $3 on an event or more, right? I'm here to take what I'm producing or growing and put it to a package that can be seen on bigger platforms that have better value to those around us that ultimately will help expand the sport. And those who see it will, and those who won't. And that's the part of life, right? I think I always, end or at least mitigate some of my conversations with, I want everybody to have the right to choose, right? Choose me, choose them. It doesn't matter. To me, it's giving you the right. I'm not, and somebody say, well, you took away the right for us to choose. And I said, no, but in a conversation, I said, no, but what I did take away was the right for someone to come after me and try to make me choose something that it was unfair and a poor value. And that's it. That's in the end of the day. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. We're still going to have 2025. We're still going to have 2026. We actually have sponsors and commitments from people that it's going to take us well into the next 10 years on prize money. So, like it or not, scream or not, comment or not, tag me or not, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. There's an old saying, you can't play left field for the Yankees with your back towards the batter, right? we got to keep our we got to keep our face forward. We got to be looking at the batter. We got to be looking at the opportunities that we can grow. And ultimately, those opportunities are going to help us succeed in life. And really, the thank is, to be honest with you, the thank is that this kind of situation gave us the opportunity to see really who the friends and who the unfriends are in the community that would normally walk up to you and smile and shake your hand, right? We know now. So we know who our core group is to build off of. We know who we want to work with, and we know where we want to go. And that's so on that end, thank you indefinitely, right? It helps fine tune it. That 5-year plan to sit back down and reevaluate where we are happened in year 3. So, and are we further along than we thought we would be in year 3? Are we more in a year 5 in terms of progress? Absolutely. We have certainly grown in a tremendous value in a short amount of time. So that kind of evaluation for us has been important. And listen, I don't have any hard feelings. I'm not going to go on. I don't have the technical acumen to go out and make my own memes and send them out. It's just not part of what I do. We're shooting multiple, reality series right now. We've got, I'm a very business-oriented, very busy person. And it doesn't lead for a lot of free time for me. And many of the people that know me find it hard sometimes to get a hold of me, only because we're doing so much. And that's a good thing. And arm wrestling has been a very positive part of that. So I'm very thankful on that end.
I was going to say, one of the important aspects that people really should understand, and as you mentioned before, it is your business, and you can run the business, make the decisions any which way that you like, really, because it's not a publicly traded company. There's no board that you have to consult or anything like that. It's like, well, this is what I'm going to do, and I've made the decision, and I'm going to follow through with it. So, at the end of the day, it's World Series of Arm Wrestling, you're the CEO, you're the owner, you're the man that's putting the money up, and it's like, this is how it's going to be, and if you don't like it, you don't have to compete with us. There's no force of that. So yeah, doubling down on that. Look, this is what I've done, and this is the way it's going to be. But one of the changes that people might have missed there. So originally with the video that you made, you did say that it was if anyone had competed with Winter Blast or with Arm Gods, that they wouldn't be welcome back with World Series of Arm Wrestling at all indefinitely. But you've mentioned today that you've changed that to just for this season. Is that correct?
That is true, and that will be the Matt Connelly exclusive. That's no, but that is true. And listen, sometimes in the vast amount of literations in your mind as you're making decisions, and that was a decision I think I would have certainly wanted to think a little bit more about, but I needed to deliver a message, and I think that we have the opportunity to bring the message back and allow those that understand there is a value that's going to have to stick with this, but it's only for the year. Once we get through the 2025 finals in November, those people that choose to compete in this event, they can come back to us. And again, it's no ill will. There's not going to be anything more than a smile and a handshake and never a conversation from us. And really after this, and we probably will have one explanation video coming out within the next week, kind of putting out some outlines for 2025 as well. To me, it's done. We've made our stance. We've put it out there, with the one exception that we're not going to ban people lifetime. But we're going to hold the line, and we're going to hold people accountable. And if they feel as if these are people that they want to continue to support, well, then that's good. There's no problem with that. But I think it was important to be able to clear the air with you, Matt. This is, for me, all somebody really had to do on their end was to pick up a phone, right? If they had a problem, and they chose not to, and that's okay. I mean, and it goes both ways too. When I see things, I pick up the phone, or I reach out. And if this was such a bothersome effort to me, they could have easily emailed me, DM me, phone called me, and instead they decided to use a low route, and that's what you get. If that's what you're going to ask for, then you got what you got, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. The reality for me, Matt, is I'm going to keep going, right?
Yeah.
And so is everybody else. That's the world's going to keep spinning today, and tomorrow Matt Connelly's going to wake up and maybe have another podcast. But ultimately, we're going to continue to do good things for the sport. I mean, we've got your videos getting ready to get uploaded. We're going to announce that here for you here in the next week, that you'll be able to be seen on Free Life Sports. And we're actually working on a deal with Sports TV. We're also working with a fast channel deal with that 4-letter entity out there that is getting close. And we're gonna keep giving our best to the sport that we see is fit and how we want to run it. And people are going to agree and people are going to disagree. At the end of the day, you're never going to. Mitch Hedberg said, you're never going to have. What's he say? He said, you're never going to have all the people all the time, or half the people half the time are going to like you or something. All those people were at my show last night, right? So all that, last night, all the haters of Gregg came out, and that's okay. We know that they're out there, and that's all right. The ones that chose to comment, I haven't read them all. I mean, I can see your line spinning around. I'm not even looking in that direction. So, I mean, it's fine that these people are commenting and they have a concern and they have a value in which they want to be heard. I'm good with it. To me, that's a part of life, right? My son sat out on the DMZ on the North Korea-South Korea border for 6 months for the fact that these folks and myself have the right to live in a country that allows us to do what we want to do. And God bless him, right? And God bless all the troops, and because we have the right to make a choice, and what's really comes down to it. And if you don't like my choice, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. Some people have. I can tell you there's an extremely long line of DMs of very influential people in this sport and I understand their wish and their willingness to be neutral, have stepped behind and told me, listen, this is exactly what the sports needs. It needs a value that holds people accountable, and they support me no matter what. On the flip side, we have those in the sport, again, that have that same value and level of acumen that feel as if it's wrong, right? They feel as if it's not the right thing. And I don't, listen, I can tell you, anybody that's reached out to me in a way that's been professional, I've always, wished them well. I'm a fan of just about everybody. I'm not, I enjoy the community and the camaraderie. But, we're going to keep going where we were going to keep going. We got the whiteboard behind us. That's going to be filled up tomorrow in a big corporate meeting. I got nothing but good things going on here. And I think in Tropic Thunder, Jackie Moon would say, ELE, everybody love everybody. But at the end of the day, I'm good. I'm good with our decision. That's our decision. The amended decision for a year is what it is. And we move forward. That's it. It is important for you guys to know, if I saw Jody Williams on the street tomorrow, I'd go over and shake his hand. And I'd ask him how his wife is doing, his family's doing. There's no animosity towards me. He made a decision as an adult. I wish he would have had a different avenue in which it led to this. But, again, he's an adult. He has the opportunity to make decisions that's best for him. And we appreciate that. There's no animosity there. That's just the way it was. And that's what the end result was, right? This is what it led up to. Maybe in the future that changes, or maybe that's the same direction that people will take because they want to see the same result again.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that, prior to going live, you said, you've been very surprised at the amount of people that have supported your decision. And it's actually been a larger amount that sort of are silent, that are not publicly going out and stating it, but you were very pleased to see that a lot of people were reaching out and saying, look, I'm still supporting you. I think that what you're doing is correct.
Yeah, and listen, and I appreciate those folks. And it's important for you to see a value that comes with just being positive, right? I don't. Again, there's not any animosity. I mean, there's people out there that have made some probably ridiculously vicious comments about me, right? I get that from some people. Hey, man, you should approach this comment. I go, listen. I go, let them make their comments. I don't have a problem with that. Because what am I going to change? Am I going to change their mind in the court of public opinion? No. If they feel this way about you, they're going to feel about you this way no matter what decision you make. Sometimes it's just a matter of making a decision to find out that that's how they feel. But the comments in themselves are not, I don't have time to be on social networks to battle. I mean, could you imagine how many calluses would be on my fingers typing today if I would have started battling yesterday? I'm sure that battle would be raging for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? For what reason, right? I made my decision. My decision was made, and it's been stated. And with the exception of, again, kind of tempering the sword a little bit, it's where we're at. It's, you know what? I drank coffee this morning. I probably should have drank tea, but I already drank coffee, so I'm not drinking tea. Right? It's just the way life is. But listen, Matt, I appreciate the fact that you've given me the opportunity to come on and do it in a way that is non-hostile, non-confrontational, and belittling or beguiling on any level, because ultimately I don't have time for that. I want people to live their best life, right? You'll hear that a lot from me when you talk to me in person. It's like, listen, I want you to live your best life. It doesn't mean that Gregg is in your best life, right? So, but AWE is rolling. Inside Arm Wrestling is rolling. We're on Free Live Sports. You're in that queue into what they call the EPG, electronic programming guide, and that will populate at the end of this week. We'll get a live launch date for you so people can start seeing Matt Connelly podcast. And then you did send over some more video content for us that we're in the middle of processing. Flashpin has also come on board. I've been talking with Tim over at Arm Sports. We're looking to try to work some magic with them to get their content on. We're just going to keep growing, right? I mean, we're going to keep what we're doing. And hopefully at the end of the day, we all win, right?
Absolutely. That's the thing is, as we said during the show here, it is your company, it's your business, you're the CEO, the owner, it's your money, and it's your decision, and this is the decision that you've made, and you're saying, well, look, it's my thing, and if you don't like it, you don't have to compete with me. There's lots of other organizations out there that you can compete with. And that's the sort of thing that you've laid out there. There's no push of aggression or anything. It's just like, this is a decision I've made, and I'm following through with it.
Exactly. The platforms that are there are open for people to jump in and take advantage of. And we're going to launch this gambling platform. Listen, you want to get involved, right? I mean, it helps the sport. We have the entertainment value that we're growing. Get involved. It helps the sport. There's no handcuffs on anybody. All you have to do is reach out and just say, hey, I want to get involved with you, and how do we do that? And we will. That's, life's too short, Matt. I'm 54 years old, right? If people, and not always me. I mean, if you look at my arm, that's not a shark bite. That's a removal, right? So, and I say that because, you only have so many days on this earth that you can make a positive impact, or a negative impact. That choice, or no impact, right? You have three choices: positive, negative, or no. At 54, my answer is I want to make a positive impact, and I don't ever want to find myself in the last moments of my day having to go to to meet the determinant in my next phase of life with any kind of regrets or any kind of feelings that I left without having a goodwill for everyone, right? And again, it's for me, we've moved on. The only thing and the reason that this is important for me is I wanted to be able to come live and tell you about, that little bit of an adjustment in our decision. But we've moved on. We've had decisions today that have nothing in business meeting today, has nothing to do with yesterday. Has everything to do with March, April, May, June, July, up to November. That's just life, right? I mean, what do you do?
Oh, exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's from our perspective, from a large majority of the wrestling community's perspective, that they're in the sport because they're fans of arm wrestling. They want to see as much arm wrestling as possible that's out there, and whether they're supporting Arm Gods or 98% or the Winter Blast or World Series of Arm Wrestling or AWE. Ideally, you'd love the fact that maybe everyone gets along at all times, but sometimes the reality is it doesn't work that way, and this is one of those times. But it doesn't mean that there can't be positives moving forwards. That there's lots of good things happening for both Arm Gods, for both 98%, for both World Series of Arm Wrestling. And at the end of the day, you've put it so that people they do have the choice. They can, if you want to compete with Winter Blast, go and compete with Winter Blast. If you want to compete with us, then compete with us. That's up to you. But yeah, it is. You can see where people were sort of getting that frustration. But again, as we've said before, it is your company. You can make the decisions, and that's the decision you've made, and you're sticking by
it. And I appreciate the opportunity to voice that with you, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's whether or not it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, it is what it is, Matt, and we're going to stand with the resolve that we need to, and we wish them a great event, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's, to me, what needed to be done is done, and we'll take note and move forward. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up for WSA for that's upcoming for this year?
Prize money increased. We moved up the prize money another $12,000, which is pretty good, right? I mean,
it's up 12,000. More than 12,000 is more than we'd have for the whole year.
That's cash. I mean, that's 12,000 more cash. That's and then we've got our supplemental sponsors that give us a lot of value in prizes. It ultimately, the goal, I think we're still on the 5-year plan of meeting that, $250,000 or better mark. We have some really strong sponsors. With what we're about to announce here in the next couple of weeks, I think it also opens up the door for even bigger sponsors. There's going to be somebody who walks home I'm guessing that there's going to be somebody who walks home in November with a bit north of $10,000 in their pocket, cash.
Wow. That's going to be massive.
I mean, if you're an arm wrestler and you are on that upper level, I mean, I would think that's something that you want to chase. I mean, I got to look at the sheet again, Matt, but I think we're paying down to 10th place this year. We've expanded that down. Now that value of 6 through 10, it's kind of like 6 through 10 at the Olympia or 15 and beyond at the Olympia. Everybody gets the same value of cash, but there is a value of cash there, right? We're not going to roll it down to see who actually is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What it's going to be is, it's just going to be the number of people that fall into that bracket from their entering into the bracket and removing from the bracket. And then, of course, from 6 up has got the big money. I think talking off the top of my head, I apologize. I think first on either hand and either weight class is 3,500 per arm, and then the overall, I want to say, is 2,500 each arm. So if you win left, right, and the overall left, right, that's 12 grand.
Right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good payday for a tournament.
Pretty good. And you're in sunny San Diego, hopefully sunny San Diego in November. But,
fantastic. Well, we might leave it there, Gregg. It's been great to be able to have you on the show and get a little bit more clarity as to timelines, decisions, reasons. I really think it was needed, and I very much appreciate having you on the show.
I appreciate you as well, Matt. Probably in a couple of weeks we'll be able to announce that other thing, and I'll reach out and have you see if you want to have me back on.
Sounds good, Matt. No worries. Well, we might end it there.